morning. We're on the road heading down to the Cotaway Creek. The Cotaway Creek is a spring-fed creek that feeds the Merrimack River. We'll be doing a 6-mile float in a canoe. The water is generally clear. Today should be a good day to be out and fishing. We're looking at a high of 90 degrees, a low of 62, which is already behind us at this point. Should be minimal winds, looking at 5 to 10 miles an hour out of the east-northeast, so that shouldn't cause us any trouble. We're mostly looking for smallmouth bass in some of the deeper pockets. Sure we'll catch some bluegill in the process, maybe a few goggle-eye, and some of the other stream fish in the area. So we're about an hour out from getting there. We'll check in again as soon as we arrive. We're here at Bass River Resort, where we'll be putting in our canoe and heading out for the fun day of fishing.
Well, we're on the river. We got our canoe loaded up with supplies. We're ready to start. The river's clear and the sky is blue.
Let's go catch some fish. Here we're working a soft plastic worm. We've got a weighted hook on there just to help with the current when we get into the deeper spots. The hook is exposed, so got to be cautious where I'm casting that, but it looks pretty realistic compared to the worms you would see. I think there's a good chance we'll catch some bass in the right areas out here. It's an okay area. We've got pretty good shade on that side, good depth. Should allow some larger fish to stay in this area. The only thing we're missing that would make it a little better is just a little more current going through here. Oh.
Fish on.
First smallmouth bass of the day.
With this bait that you've got on my pole here, what am I fishing for?
A curly tail worm like this will catch either the smallmouth bass or some of the bluegill. And generally in the water, it's going to be diving down with the weight first. So you'll do a bit of a staggered retrieve, bringing it up, and it'll fall, a bit of a zigzag pattern. And a lot of times the fish are going to grab that on the descent or chase after it. And the advantage of the curly tail there is it does create a fair amount of movement and vibration in the water that will attract the fish.
And what size fish can I expect to catch on this?
Well, that's all up to the user, so it's in your hands. Good size goggle-eye rock bass here. Trademark spots here. Red eyes, slightly larger mouth. And he's off. He's chasing that worm. He had a good bite, but he was further down on the tail. but just kept still, keeping it in that area and slowly bringing it in, and eventually he struck at it again on the descent. Little tiny one, but still a smallmouth bass. No, it's one of those bottom feeder fish. Got another rock bass, or goggle eye. That one was on the Strike King Bitsy Minnow, Fire Tiger color. I'll walk him in towards the bank. Keep walking, keep walking, keep walking. Grab him by the lip with your thumb there.
Okay.
Good looking smallmouth bass. The biggest one we've had so far today.
It's like 50 pounds. Let him go.
Yep. And he's off.
And now it's time for one of my favorite parts of the show, where I answer questions from fictional viewers just like you. Today's question comes from Jay Hillstrand of Dutch Harbor, Alaska. He asks, Captain Bob, why did you retire from being a cardboard boat pilot? Up to now, the reason I retired has been too painful for me to share. But for the benefits of my viewers, I'll give it a go. So sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip. It was the summer of 2013. My first mate and I spent weeks constructing a cardboard boat. It was really just a proof of concept. Even though it was just a prototype, it was well engineered. Some might even say it was over-engineered. Our calculations and laboratory tests gave us confidence not only that our boat would float, but that even under the weight of 2 people, it might very well be unsinkable. On the morning of our maiden voyage, the skies were clear. Looking back in hindsight, I should have checked the weather and the fishing reports. So the tale of our fateful trip now continues at this tropic port aboard our tiny ship. My mate was a mighty sailing man. As the skipper, I was brave and sure. Both of us set sail that day for our inaugural tour. All of a sudden, the weather started getting rough. When a 50-knot wind hit our port side, our tiny ship was tossed. If not for the courage of the fearless crew, our cardboard boat would have been lost. If we only had to contend with the wind at that point, I'm confident our ship would have withstood the storm. Unfortunately, simultaneously on the starboard side, I noticed a large dark mass just under the surface of the water heading toward us. At first I thought it might just be the shadow of a cloud passing overhead. Then the first mate and I gasped in horror as we saw two huge red eyes and an enormous dorsal fin break the surface of the water, circle our boat, and then increase its speed, apparently coming in for a fatal attack. The next thing I knew, a monstrous 300-pound Asian carp leaped out of the water. Milliseconds before the carp's powerful tail bludgeoned the side of my head, I turned to the first mate and matter-of-factly said, "We need a wider boat." The impact of this spawn from hell proved to be too much for our tiny craft. As our ship rolled on its side and started taking on water, a chorus of screams arose from family, friends, and various random people nearby on shore. The words I heard next shook me to the very core, and they still haunt me to this very day. My own brother-in-law yelled, "You're the captain! Go down with the ship!" Then my wife calmly asked, "Honey, where's your life insurance policy?" Feeling betrayed by the ones that I love, I considered, albeit for a brief second, giving in to despair and ending my life. But then I remembered that there were still others that truly loved and depended on me. I decided that life was still worth living, that this day was not a good day to die, and became determined to turn this momentary defeat into our finest hour. As I steeled my resolve for the task ahead, I told the first mate, "We will never give up, we will never surrender, save ourselves, and save our ship." Fortunately, we were only in 8 inches of water at that time. So the first mate and I flipped the boat on its side, let the water drain out, and walked it back to shore. We almost lost a couple of good men that day. So Jay Hillstrand of Dutch Harbor, Alaska, that is why I decided to retire as a cardboard boat pilot. I realized I was too old to continue risking my life and limb. It was the right time for me to pass the baton to a younger generation. Now I see by my watch that it's almost time to end the show. But before we go, please stay tuned for a brief message from our sponsor. I'm Rob Tuckmeyer, CEO of WACME Enterprises. It gives me great pleasure today to announce our new line of eco-friendly, biodegradable luxury cardboard boats. Just like a woodpecker ridding a tree of insects, our new Pecker line of cardboard boats safely eliminates the alleged bugs of earlier designs. Pecker boats are made in the USA, right here in our state-of-the-art manufacturing facility in Oakville, Missouri. Our boats are conceived by the foremost engineers of cardboard boat design and then handcrafted by skilled artisans to exacting specifications. Each boat undergoes rigorous quality and safety tests before it can be sold to the public. At WACME, as you can imagine, we are very proud of our Peckers. So if you are in the market for a cardboard boat, please give us a chance. Join our family of satisfied customers and you too can say, "I picked a Pecker."
Well, Jason, I'd say we had an excellent day of fishing.
I'd agree, Captain Bob. In all, we caught 13 fish. 4 of them were smallmouth bass, 4 of them were rock bass, 1 of them was a largemouth bass, 3 of them were bluegill, and 1 was a bottom-feeding suckerfish. But the biggest catch of the day was rescuing 2 guys when their canoe overturned.
We almost lost a couple good men.
That's 1 episode down.
Good job, man.
On to the next.
Okay.